By now, it is well established that Jurassic dated Morrison Formation saw some of the most brutal conditions the Mesozoic had to offer. And yet, it was home to an abundance of formidable predators. Some of the largest among them included the ever-famous Allosaurus, the underrated Ceratosaurus, and the immensely deadly Torvosaurus. These three together dominated the lands and are usually the ones portrayed in paleo media that covers late Jurassic North America. However, there was yet another giant theropod that lived alongside them, that was not only much rarer, but also more terrifying and even larger. In fact, this beast was so big that it was likely the largest theropod to exist during the Jurassic period. This was the Saurophaganax. Although only picking up steam in the last few years in terms of popularity, the Saurophaganax has actually been known to paleontologists for a long time, being first unearthed in Oklahoma back in 1931. Right off the bat, paleontologists knew this was a beast of epic proportions. It was no doubt a terrifying presence for both prey and predators alike, so naturally they gave it a name that reflected both of these aspects. Saurophagus maximus, meaning the largest lizard eater. Unfortunately, it turned out this name had already been taken, yet this issue wouldn't be resolved until over 50 years later when paleontologists gave it a new, more imposing yet similar name, Saurophaganax maximus, which translates to the largest lord of the lizard eaters. The addition of lord to its name was another nod to its immense size, yet there was a problem that still exists to this day. A lack of known specimens, which has created many gaps in paleontologists' understanding of this prehistoric nightmare. Yet, this hasn't stopped studies from taking place that have sought to learn more about it and answer the million-dollar question regarding its size. Currently, we know the Saurophaganax was an absolute unit, with conservative estimates placing medium-sized adults at around 10.5 meters or 34 feet in length and 3.8 metric tons in body mass, which made it larger than the biggest definitive Allosaurus specimen. But the Saurophaganax didn't stop here, as one particularly large individual has garnered much larger size estimates, with some believing that it was between 12 and 13 meters or 40 and 43 feet in length, while possibly reaching 5 to 6 tons in weight. This means that it might have rivaled some of the giant Cretaceous theropods that would later emerge. At least this is true when it comes to length, as yet it was still not as robustly built or tall as some of the heaviest hitters like the T-Rex. Still, if it did reach these estimated sizes, it means the Saurophaganax was not only the biggest meat-eating dinosaur to live in Jurassic North America, but also the largest Jurassic theropod in the world, period. Currently, the greatest threats to this title are the Edmarca rex and E. panterius, which are now usually considered to be large individuals of Torvosaurus and Allosaurus respectively. And even though there is no doubt these two were giants, recent studies have lowered the original size estimate on Edmarca rex to 11.8 meters or 39 feet, while the max size of E. panterius has been predicted to have been around 12 meters or 40 feet, making it nearly identical to the Saurophaganax. Although despite the lack of Saurophaganax remains, the E. panterius has even less material, leading many to regard Saurophaganax as being the probable larger of the two. And as the potential overlord of the Jurassic, the Saurophaganax would have surely been quite the sight, and would have dwarfed what many consider to be the king of that era, the Allosaurus. However, it did probably look a lot like the Allosaurus. This was thanks to the fact that the two belonged to the same family, the Allosauridae, and they also both had a long sloping tail, reduced forelimbs, and massive skulls that were attached to a short neck. They were so alike that they may have been able to pass for twins, and it is for this reason that, like the E. panterius, some believe the Saurophaganax isn't a new dinosaur at all, but really a gigantic Allosaurus. This school of thought believes that there are simply too few differences between the two to justify creating a new genus for Saurophaganax. However, on the other side of the spectrum, there are paleontologists who do believe that it was indeed a separate theropod. This group points to the huge size gap between the two, as well as highlighting the differences in their vertebrae. And in recent years, multiple studies that have analyzed Tenurei, the clade to which Allosaurids belong, have shown evidence that Saurophaganax was indeed a breed of its own. Nevertheless, despite the increasing amount of support for Saurophaganax having its own genus, it's still undeniable that it and the Allosaurus held many of the same features, which fortunately for the Saurophaganax included the extremely deadly bite of the Allosaurus. The Allosaurus is infamous for having a hellish bite that employed serrated, knife-like large teeth to tear and shear massive chunks off of prey, eventually leading to fatal blood loss. And due to the monstrous size of the Saurophaganax and its skull, it's possible that it had a substantially more robust bite than even the Allosaurus, with some preliminary estimates suggesting that it had a bite force of at least 10,000 newtons, equivalent to that of a great white shark. On top of this, the Saurophaganax sported muscular arms and hands that were equipped with long, razor-sharp claws that made the claws of other theropods look like complete jokes. These offered it even more killing power and could have been used further to shred animals apart or as a way of gripping onto prey. What's interesting, however, is that despite possessing both an extremely vicious bite and lethal arms, certain paleontologists think the Saurophaganax wasn't really all that much of a hunter, rather a specialized scavenger. This idea stems from its massive size, which despite making it more formidable, would have also limited its speed, resulting in the Saurophaganax likely being slower than most herbivores and coexisting carnivores in its habitat. Thus, in order to obtain food, it's possible that the Saurophaganax would wait for others to do the dirty work of bringing down prey, after which it would proceed to reveal itself and scare the killers away from the carcass by utilizing its immense size. At the same time, other conjectures have arisen which propose that the Saurophaganax was really both a scavenger and an avid hunter that targeted larger and slower live prey, such as young and small sauropods or stegosaurs. Fortunately for its prey and competitors, it appears that the Saurophaganax was not common in its ecosystem. Rather, it seems to have been extremely rare. Its scarcity has actually become another area of debate, and currently there are two main ideas on the matter. Firstly, certain paleontologists believe that due to its mammoth size and therefore excessive needs, environments were restricted in how many Saurophaganax could be supported, resulting in it being an uncommon theropod. This issue was also exacerbated by the harsh conditions the Morrison Formation could face, which further limited resources. The other idea is that its scarcity is explained by its timing, as it emerged rather late in the Jurassic. Paleontologists know this because the Saurophaganax has been located in only one of the 11 members of the Morrison Formation, the Brushy Basin member, which represents the very end of the Morrison. And to highlight its limited range, many other Morrison Formation theropods have been found in numerous members, exemplified by the Allosaurus, which lived in 9 of the 11 members. However, even with only being present in the Bushy Basin, the Saurophaganax still coexisted with many of the famed Morrison dinosaurs. This included an array of sauropods, including the Haplocanthosaurus, Marapunosaurus, Suacia, Smetanosaurus, Amphicoelius, Apatosaurus, Atlantosaurus, Brontosaurus, Diplodocus, Gallimiopus, Supersaurus, Brachiosaurus, and Camarasaurus. Other herbivorous dinosaurs in its habitat included Camptosaurus, Dryosaurus, Nanosaurus, Uteodon, Alcavosaurus, Maimurapelta, Stegosaurus, and Frutidens. Carnivorous dinosaurs were also present in the form of Torvosaurus, Paleopteryx, Coelurus, Ceratosaurus, and Allosaurus. Furthermore, non-dinosaur inhabitants represented by multiple insects, fish, amphibians, sphenodonts, snakes, lizards, turtles, crurotarsans, pterosaurs, and even mammals. All these animals lived alongside the Saurophaganax in an environment that was composed of forests, rivers, and lakes. The forests appear to have taken on various forms, such as lining rivers, existing as gallery forests, and savannas. Trees and plants that made up these areas were a mix of mosses, horsetails, cycads, ginkgos, and several families of conifers. Furthermore, research has shown this habitat experienced very distinct and strong dry seasons, during which lakes and rivers would dry up, and competition amongst dinosaurs would become even more vicious than normal. During these trying times, it was both a curse and a gift for the Saurophaganax to be as big as it was, since as mentioned, it needed more food and water to survive, but on the other hand, it could use its imposing stature to bully others when conflicts arose. It would have roamed these lands mostly unchallenged during its heyday. However, what's unfortunate is that this lord did not appear to rule for very long, as its fossil records are brief and restricted to 150 million years ago only. Yet, until more Saurophaganax remains are found, the mystery of its dynasty's length and all its other secrets will sadly remain unanswered. Like always, thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. It does help the algorithm, and until next time on ExtinctZoo.